Kongjwi and Patjwi. A long, long time ago, there lived a kind-hearted couple in a small village. The wife became pregnant and gave birth to a beautiful girl. The couple named her Kongjwi and doted on her. But before Kongjwi turned 100 days old, her mother passed away. The year Kongjwi turned 14, her father remarried. The woman had a daughter of her own called Patjwi, who was a year younger than Kongjwi. The stepmother was very nice to her stepdaughter and seemed to work hard around the house. But that wasn't the case at all. One day, when Kongjwi was stacking dishes in the kitchen, Patjwi knocked them all down from the shelf. The stepmother pretended to be startled by the noise and brought her husband into the kitchen. "I asked her to do the dishes, but she threw a tantrum." "No, Mother, that wasn't what happened." "Now look, she's talking back at me. She has no respect for me because I'm her stepmother." Falling for his wife's ploy, Kongjwi's father started believing only his wife and none of Kongjwi's words. One day, the stepmother gave Patjwi an iron hoe to weed a sandy patch of land, and Kongjwi a wooden one to weed a rocky field. Patjwi finished her chore in no time. Kongjwi, on the other hand, had a hard time with her task. Before long, the flimsy tool broke, leaving the poor girl unable to finish her work. "Oh no, what am I going to do?" That was when something amazing happened. "Kongjwi? Kongjwi?" Kongjwi heard a lovely and kind voice calling her name. "I'm your fairy from heaven. Kongjwi, why don't you use this iron hoe to weed the field?" The fairy left an iron hoe before vanishing into thin air. Kongjwi worked hard with the iron hoe given by the fairy. After finishing the chore in no time, Kongjwi hurried back to the house. "I'm home." "Where have you been all this time? Did you finish weeding the field?" "Yes, I did." "Really? You'll be in big trouble if I find out you didn't do the job right." The stepmother and Patjwi spent all their time scheming how to make Kongjwi's life as miserable as possible. Then one day, Kongjwi's father had to go on a long journey away from home. When Kongjwi's father left, the stepmother didn't even pretend to be nice to Kongjwi anymore. "Hey, clean the house and do the laundry. Why are you still eating? Don't you have work to do out in the field?" One day, the family heard that the town's new magistrate was holding a big celebration for the entire village. "Kongjwi, I'm going to the party with Patjwi. Watch the house while we're out." "Mother, may I go with you?" "What? Then who'll do all the chores?" "Well, don't worry. I'll finish them after I come back from the party." "All right. You can come to the party once you have cleaned the house, filled the jar with water, hulled the rice, and woven a bolt of fabric." All Kongjwi could do was heave a big sigh as she saw the amount of work she had to do. Well, she started the chores as quickly as she could in hopes of finishing them before the celebration was over. She put out the rice to dry and swept every corner of the house. Then she started filling up the jar with water. But something was not right. No matter how much water she poured in the jar, it didn't fill up at all. That was when a big toad crawled out from the corner of the yard.
You won't be able to fill up the jar because it has a big hole at the bottom. Don't worry, I will plug the hole with my body so you can fill it up. Now you get the water.
Thanks to the toad that plugged up the hole, the jar soon filled up with water. Okay, now I can haul the rice. To her dismay, dozens of sparrows appeared out of nowhere and started pecking at the grains that Kongjwi had laid out on the yard. Go away, birds! Shoo! Shoo! When the birds flew off, Kongjwi was stunned to discover white rice grains. The sparrows hadn't eaten the rice at all, but in fact they had removed the husks for her. Thank you, sparrows, for husking the rice for me. She stored the rice in the shed, and now went to the loom to weave fabric. To her surprise, she found someone already at work. You are that divine woman who gave me the iron hoe, right? Yes, I am. I already did the weaving for you, and I made this dress for you to wear to the party. Really? For me? Here's one more present. What she had in her hands was a beautiful pair of shoes with floral embroidery. Kongjwi put on the dress and the shoes and rushed to the party. People at the party all started whispering in admiration when they saw Kongjwi enter. The stepmother flew into a rage when she found out that the mysterious lady was, in fact, Kongjwi.
What are you doing here? What about the work I told you to do?
But I did finish it all.
What? You filled up that broken jar? I mean, you really filled up that big jar?
The stepmother couldn't believe that Kongjwi had completed all the work by herself. She also didn't like the fact that everyone at the party was admiring her beauty. Even the new county magistrate seemed to show interest in Kongjwi, to the great displeasure of her stepmother.
I don't believe you. Go home at once.
Frightened to see her stepmother so angry, Kongjwi had no other choice but to go home. The young magistrate tried to follow Kongjwi but couldn't catch up with her. Kongjwi was in such a hurry that she didn't even realize that one of her shoes had fallen off. A few days later, the young magistrate and his officer went out to search for the shoe owner. After a while, they arrived at Kongjwi's house. The stepmother took over.
Oh, that's my Patjwi's shoe.
But alas, the shoe was too small for Patjwi's foot.
Take it off. You're going to rip the shoe. Is this the only young lady in the house?
Yes, there's no other girl in our family. Now leave.
But that was when the magistrate spotted Kongjwi in the kitchen. Miss, come out here and try on this shoe. So Kongjwi came out of the kitchen and carefully put her foot into the shoe.
It fits perfectly, sir. The shoe indeed belongs to the young lady.
The magistrate, who had fallen in love with Kongjwi the moment he met her, asked her to marry him right there and then. From then on, they lived happily ever after.